First off, my name's Seneca and I am a photographer and DP here in Los Angeles, California. Today we're going to be talking about a program called DEHANCER. Now, full disclosure, this program was sent to me by DEHANCER to review. However, I'm not obligated to give a good review or to get their approval before posting any of this. So this is going to be my genuine thoughts using the program and kind of showing you guys a little bit of how I would use it in my workflow. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. All right, y'all, so I'm here in Lightroom and I have a couple of images from a previous shoot that I did that we're going to plug into the DEHANCER plugin and see what we can make. So to get started, we're going to right click, go over to edit in, and then select DEHANCER. These settings automatically populate. I haven't adjusted them and I find that they work just fine. So we'll just go ahead and click edit. And once we do that, the plugin will load up. So this is what our base image look like. And then on the left side here, we have a bunch of the different film profiles. There are a ton, but I do have some favorites that I like to use. So I'll use this little drop down and go to my favorites. And these are the ones that I've liked the most so far, but definitely depends on the image. And while you're doing this, you can kind of click through and find what you like the most. But I do really enjoy how the Kodak Ektar 100 looks, so we're going to use this as our film profile for this photo. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to move over to the right side where we can start making adjustments. As far as input, this is where we can adjust the exposure and temperature. I'm not going to play with this. This is definitely something you could use to make adjustments, but since I've already made some minor changes in Lightroom, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone, as well as the output. Then we're going to move down to the film developer. This has contrast boost and color boost. Those are the two main things that I've used in these settings. Color boost is going to adjust the saturation in the image. You can kind of see here if I add it in or take it away, but we'll just find a little happy medium for this. And we'll call it, I think I'm pretty happy with how that looks, so we'll leave that there. And then for the contrast, I'm pretty happy with the contrast in the image already, so we'll leave that alone. Now we're gonna move down, film compression, so it'll bring your highlights and your shadows a little bit more closely together. But you can see what it's doing to the image here. Adjusting the white point, boom. Yeah, but anyways, we can do that. We're gonna reset this to the settings it was already at though. Then we're also gonna select expand. We're also gonna select print, select color head. We're gonna select film grain. I'm gonna go through all of these at the same time. So expand, we're just adjusting black point, white point, so you guys can see what that's doing here. And I'll find a place that I like it for this image. Boom. Just slightly, somewhere in that world is okay. That's good. All right, cool. Then we're gonna go down to print. This is basically emulating the different types of paper that the image would be printed on. You can take a look at what a few of these look like, but I like where it was at already with this Kodak Endura glossy paper. I am gonna turn the saturation down on this slightly. Actually, I lied. I'm gonna turn it up more. Boom. I think that's cool. I like that. All right, cool. And then we can play around with the color head. This is gonna adjust the different colors in the image, but we're gonna just kind of play around with this and find something that we like. All right, next we're gonna move on to film grain. They have a bunch of presets here already. We'll go ahead and also zoom in on the image so you can actually see what that grain is doing. You can really see it in the sky and in the ocean back here. So if I turn it on, turn it off, you can see all that grain that it's adding to the image. but generally I'm gonna leave it at the 35mm 250. It's a little bit more fine, and I think it just adds a good little texture to the image for me, so I'm happy with that. And then we're gonna move down to halation, which is one of my favorite features in DEHANCER. Once I add it on, you'll be able to see when I turn up the impact on it, so you can actually see it a little bit better. All right, so here is what halation is. You see this like red kind of glow that's on the edge here? That's halation. You see, turn it on and off. So it just kind of gives this like subtle, soft red glow. Think of like a bloom effect, but with like a red tint to it. Definitely don't want to OD with this, but I'm gonna put this probably around here. Yeah, it's really subtle. Less is more with the edits, so just a slight subtle red tint, and you can also see it a little bit like here in her hair, kind of on the shadow parts of her skin. You can see that subtle red glow around here, which I think is nice. Adds a little bit of extra flavor to the image, so we're gonna keep that. All right, boom. So we got halation out the way. Then we're gonna go to bloom, which is kind of what I just referenced before. And this is going to slightly wash out a bit of the contrast in the image, but it just takes those highlights and kind of spreads them softly across the image. So you can really see the blooming effect like on these rocks and in these darker areas here. So if I turn it on and off, you can kind of see like all of these rocks get like a nice kind of light glow over them. It's just making the highlights in the image spread a little bit more across the frame. So I think that looks really nice. You can see it all along here. You can even see it on her a little bit as well, which I love. And again, you can customize how you want it to look, and they also have presets already set up in here as well. So feel free to, you know, season to taste with the selections on this and figure out what works for you. This next feature, I don't use that often. This is the film damage feature. I think it's a little bit distracting personally, but it's a cool way to have this effect easily accessible to you if it's something that you're interested in using. And basically, let's kind of, let me see if I can make it a little more noticeable. It's kind of hard to see here. Okay, boom. You can kind of see like this scratch mark on the photo, this line here. Let me see. Each one of the presets has like something a little bit different. You can see here that scratch, these white marks here, here, here on the image. It's just adding some extra kind of like dirt to the frame to make it a little bit more film-ish, but personally I don't use that feature, so we're just going to turn that off. Overscan is another feature that I don't use, but it is a cool effect to just have as far as being able to just like one click and have it on. With this, you can make quite a few adjustments to how it looks. So if you want to have, you know, the film negative, the perforations, you can adjust the exposure of these as well. If you want them to be bright, dark, this is a better example here where you can see this is with the exposure up, and then if I tone it down, this is with the exposure down, and then you put it in the middle. It just gives you that like subtle perforations like you're scanning film. Again, it's a cool effect, not necessarily something that I would use, but it's nice to have when doing these kinds of things. So we'll go ahead and check that one off. Great. And then the last one we're going to add on is vignette, which we are going to keep, and we're going to make a few adjustments to this because I do like a nice subtle vignette here and there on my images, because I definitely like darker images. That's what a lot of my portfolio looks like, has a lot of contrast. So for this, just to make this a little bit more obvious, I'm gonna just take the feather off completely so we can see where it is, and I'm also going to adjust the exposure exposure slightly so I can see how dark it is here, and then also adjust the size because we don't want it over the whole image. Honestly, I just kind of want it just around the edges, about right there, and then we will add in a little bit of feathering, and I'll actually darken it just a little bit more. Boom, and that is gonna be it. I like how this looks. I might take the halation down just a tad. Yeah, there we go. And I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I think that actually looks great. So we can see this is the before, and then this is the after. Before, after. I really like how easy this plugin is to use, and I think it has a lot of really great features that you can use in your editing process and get some pretty cool images out of. So with this, we're gonna go ahead and select OK, and this is gonna send the photo back to Lightroom. All right, so that is what our DEHANCER edit looks like here, and then this is our before and after right there. I think it's a great program, honestly. I think it's a great plugin to just kind of play around with. And if you're looking to get that film look, I definitely think that this is a great option for you. Let's go ahead and put this same edit on these other images as well, just so we can see how they look on these, and then we'll wrap this up. So the good thing about DEHANCER, although you can't like select this and sync it like you can in Lightroom and just copy the edit across, if you do have an edit and you open up a new DEHANCER edit, it'll automatically apply what you had last in DEHANCER to the next image. So it does make the workflow a little bit more quick and easy to do. So you can see all the adjustments that I previously made on the other image are already loaded onto here. I'm not gonna make any adjustments to this one. We're just gonna go ahead and leave it as is, just so we can see how all of the images look side by side. And we're gonna do the same here. All right. So there is the before and the after, before, after with the DEHANCER edit, and then the same thing again, before, after, before, after. I'm pretty pleased with the overall outcome of how these look. Definitely think you guys should check out DEHANCER, give it a shot. And the great thing about this is DEHANCER isn't just for Lightroom. You can also use it with Capture One. You can use it on video with DaVinci Resolve. So it's a very versatile plugin. And I think it doesn't hurt to have, these type of plugins at your disposal when you're doing these types of edits. So definitely check it out. And if this video was helpful, be sure to check the description below, because I did include a promo code for DEHANCER, so you guys can save a little bit of money on it when you try it. And that's going to wrap it up. Peace, guys.